Hi class. Today I'd like to talk to you about your final project, which is a considerable part of the work you will be doing this term. First thing you have to do when you're working on your final project is to select one topic from these three. These are the only three topics that are permitted, so select one. And you will be working on it throughout the course. The topics that you select here have nothing to do with the topics you'll discuss in the discussion board, but they do pertain to every paper you'll write. Your options, your topics that you can select from are care coordination for individuals with chronic illnesses. And you'll be talking about care coordination issues, not how to treat chronic illnesses. Option 2, it's a gap in equity related to mental health access for veterans. And option 3 is a gap in efficiency related to the rising cost of pharmaceuticals for the aging population. You're going to use that topic, as I said, through all 5 assignments. Your first assignment is in Module 2. It's an annotated bibliography. That sounds like something pretty big and spooky, but it's not. You have a template that is provided that shows you exactly how and where to do this bibliography, and it gives examples of how to format using APA formatting, which is very important. This is an assignment where you will find and describe 5 resources related to your first milestone paper. If you do this appropriately, your milestone paper will be a snap. So this is also a good chance for you to get my feedback and suggestions about your resources and about the way you've been using APA formatting. Your second assignment comes the week after that. It is Module 3. It's a Milestone 1 paper. Once again, there's a template, and I will be showing you how to do a template later on in the course. The template's already formatted with the title page. All you have to do is fill in the information that's applicable to you. It already has the correct font type and size, and it also has headings provided. For this paper, you're going to look up the resources that you already collected last week and write the 5 sections of the paper. This is where you describe the gap, its history, socioeconomic factors related to your population. And your population, if you're talking about veterans, is veterans. If you're talking about the aging population, it's older people. If you're talking about people with chronic illnesses, it's people with chronic illnesses. You'll also talk about the effect that all of this has on care for your population. And finally, implications if the gap is not closed. And implications are basically worst case scenario. If this problem isn't resolved, what can happen to the health of your population and to the healthcare system? So in writing this paper, use the template, as I said, but also follow the rubric to see what you're expected to write in each section and how I'll be grading your paper. Your third assignment is in Module 4. It's a short paper. This is where you'll research and describe 3 initiatives that are already being used or have been used to try to close the gap. It could be 3 formal projects that were started somewhere. And it'll give you an idea of which one you want to talk about in your next assignment, which is describing just one initiative. Be very careful when you do this to select something that addresses the gap you've already talked about. Module 5 is Milestone 2. This is where you're going to write about one of the initiatives you looked into last week. And you're going to say how the initiative was developed, what its goals were, what resources were needed to start and maintain it. And that can be money as well as people, professional education, that kind of thing. And then think about whether the initiative is working or did work or whether it failed, and write about how you think it can be improved. When you get to Module 7, you're at the end. Yay! It's Milestone 3. This is where you review all my comments and suggestions about your Milestone 1 and 2 papers, make any changes based on those suggestions and comments to improve or correct your Milestone 1 and your Milestone 2 paper. And using the template, once again, you put Milestone 1 in, you put Milestone 2 in, you put all your references together at the end in alphabetical order, and after Milestone 1 and 2, you add a section about a regulation or a law that supports your initiative or is trying to close your gap. The regulation can't be the same thing as your initiative. For example, there are a number of things the federal government's done to try to help with each of these gaps that we're talking about. If you're going to talk about what the federal government is doing, then save that as your regulation and pick a different initiative for Milestone 2. And if it looks like you're crossing the line, I'll let you know when I correct your papers. And the regulation that you write about or the law can be something that's happening in the city, something that's happening federally, or that's just happening within a state. So your 4 papers are all built on the assignments that were done before. Each time you submit an assignment, I correct them pretty quickly. I write comments on the Turnitin copy of your paper and also on the rubric. And sometimes I will also give you a video comment about the paper. Think of each of the first 3 papers that you write, your Milestone 1, Milestone 2, and your short paper, as drafts of your final assignment. And a draft is something that is not in final form and is awaiting feedback and comments. My feedback, if you use it, will help you make corrections, changes, or additions to the final paper so that you can be sure you're meeting all the requirements. Some helpful hints. When you describe your gap, state the reasons why it exists and focus on those reasons. Don't think of every possible reason on earth that the gap exists. Think of a few of them that are correctable. Your initiative that you write about is something that should try to fix the problem you're describing, the reasons why the gap exists. There are lots of possible reasons, but here are some ideas that you can get a start with. When you're writing a paper about veterans, they may not be getting the care they need because they are nowhere near a VA health center, or there aren't enough healthcare professionals, mental health care professionals to help them, or there's something in them that isn't letting them seek help. When you're writing about older people who can't afford their medications, that may be because they have fixed incomes and their income isn't too high, or it may be because drug prices keep rising. Why is that happening? If you're writing about care coordination, that could be a problem because healthcare professionals aren't necessarily communicating with each other. They're not sharing information. Or it can be that people can't afford the care that's ordered, and healthcare providers aren't thinking about, can somebody afford this medication and all these specialists that I'm referring them to? And I realize I have a typo on this slide. Finally, make sure you do your own work. Write using your own words. You can use quotations, but you can't make a paper that's completely full of quotations. And if you do use a quotation, put it in quotation marks and state where you found it. Use citations whenever you state something that's not common knowledge, such as, in the year 1997, the gross national product was blah, blah, blah. But that's not the kind of thing most people are going to just pull out of their heads. So if it's not common knowledge, say where you got it from. Or if it's an interesting idea, say where you got it from. Make sure that all the references you cite in the paper are on your reference list. And your reference list is going to grow with each paper. Milestone 1 is going to have some references. Milestone 2 will have some more. Milestone 3 will have still more. And you will put them all together and put them in alphabetical order. But if I find that there are a lot of citations in your paper and they're not showing up on your reference list, it will make me wonder where the paper came from. Don't be afraid to show me what your writing is like. The intent of this course is for you to learn what is in the course, to get the ideas. I'm thrilled when you can respond in your own words as to what you've read. I'm thrilled when I can tell you wrote the paper yourself. So if you run into any problems, please don't hesitate to ask me for help. And please don't wait until the last minute. As you're writing the paper, if questions come up, get in touch with me. I will get back to you very quickly. Thank you.